Historical archives possess a specific tactile reality. Look at the water stains on these documents, the brittle edges of the paper, and the fading strokes of 19th century ink. This 1890 photograph of the gate to Lucknow grounds us in the administrative hub of British India during the late 19th century. The artifacts under investigation are a series of administrative circulars issued from this office in March 1886. They were authored by R.T. Hobart, who served as the Inspector General of Prisons for the Northwestern Provinces and Oudh. While high-level treaties get more attention, routine paperwork like this provides a more accurate lens for observing how colonial power actually functioned. Our case study focuses on 5 distinct directives issued by Hobart within a single month. Popular history often portrays colonial power as a system enforced solely through brute military force. The record suggests a different reality, one built on 3 administrative pillars: strict fiscal discipline, medicalized welfare, and rigid procedural exactitude. By synthesizing the details of these 5 documents, we can reconstruct the hidden operational machinery of the British Raj's entire penal network. This reconstruction begins with a document revealing the financial anxieties of the colonial state. Circular number 10 addresses the management of the public works budget for local jails. Hobart issues a specific reprimand to his superintendents. He insists that grant money must be utilized month by month, rather than being spent spasmodically at the end of the fiscal year. That word, spasmodically, highlights the friction between central oversight and local administrative inefficiency. The state demanded a predictable, rhythmic flow of capital. The mandate is absolute. Any sum unexpended by April must lapse to the government. In the colonial fiscal cycle, predictable accounting and the return of surplus capital frequently took precedence over the actual completion of prison maintenance. Circular 10 demonstrates that fiscal predictability for the central office superseded local administrative flexibility. While the bureaucracy tracked budgets, it also tracked the physical condition of the incarcerated population. Circular 11 orders the installation of tat portas, screens made of jute or canvas, on the sides of sleeping barracks exposed to the cold night wind. These screens were a pragmatic, low-cost intervention designed to mitigate the effects of the winter chill. Hobart grants specific authority to superintendents, who also serve as medical officers, allowing them to use their discretion in providing these screens. Within the colonial framework, preserving prisoner health was not an act of humanitarianism. It was a method of maintaining the economic utility of the inmate. This directive integrates medical expertise directly into prison maintenance, where a doctor's professional judgment dictated the physical conditions of the barracks. Keeping the wind out of the barracks ensured the prisoners remained physically capable of the hard labor the state required the following morning. Circular 12 formalizes the link between prison labor and legal sentencing by detailing how prisoners may earn remission. This directive specifically targets inmates sentenced to imprisonment for failing to pay a fine. The mechanism is straightforward. A default on a fine leads to imprisonment. If the prisoner then performs voluntary labor, they earn a reduction in their time. However, this system only applies to those with a substantive sentence of 2 years or more. Through the legal incentive of remission, the state extracts physical value from an administrative failure. A debt that could not be paid in currency is paid through bodily exertion. Calling this labor voluntary ignores the coercive nature of the carceral environment, where the only other option is serving the full length of the sentence. In practice, the remission system functioned as a tool for systemic economic extraction. The same bureaucratic oversight that managed labor also governed the most extreme exercise of state power, capital punishment. Circular 14 dictates how superintendents must handle petitions from prisoners condemned to death. Hobart demands that all such petitions be forwarded to the government with an English covering docket. Enforcing English linguistic standardization allowed the central authority to maintain absolute control over life and death decisions within a multilingual local system. The directive includes a clinical instruction. The superintendent must state, in English, whether the date of execution has been fixed. This document reduces the act of state-sanctioned killing to a standardized paperwork exercise. Strict procedural exactitude served to sanitize the penal experience, ensuring that even at its most violent, the system remained under bureaucratic control. When viewed together, these individual circulars reveal an interconnected operational web. Fiscal discipline, medical welfare, labor extraction, and procedural violence are the specific elements that comprise the colonial state. This network reflects the daily, grinding reality of administration in 1886. The colonial prison in 1886 operated as a micro-calibrated bureaucratic machine, its gears turned by constant top-down directives like these. The physical survival of this specific archive brings us to a final piece of evidence regarding how these orders were processed. Consider this scrap of paper, which contains a clerk's note on how to file these directives. The note simply says, "See Government Order File Book." This instruction marks the final step in the bureaucratic process. The immediate realities of the jail were converted into permanent, flattened data in a government ledger. History is often sought in grand monuments or major treaties, but those sources can obscure as much as they reveal. The historical reality of the Raj is found here, where human lives were managed and recorded through the unyielding machinery of budgets, dockets, and circulars.